Hi, I'm Julie.
And I'm Caleb. Welcome to Nursing You, the podcast where we redefine nursing in today's healthcare landscape. Join Julie and I as we step outside the box on an unconventional healing journey.
Together, we're diving deep into the heart of nursing, exploring the intricate relationships between caregivers and patients with sincerity and depth.
Our mission is to create an open and collaborative experience where learning is expansive and fun.
From the psychological impacts of nursing to the larger implications on the healthcare system, we're sparking conversations that lead to healing and innovation.
We have serious experience and we won't pull our punches, but we'll also weave in some humor along the way because we all know laughter is often the best medicine.
It is, and we won't shy away from any topic, taboo or not. From violence and drugs to family and love, we're tackling it all.
Our nursing knowledge is our base, but we will be bringing insights from philosophy, religion, science, and art to deepen our understanding of the human experience.
So whether you're a nurse, a healthcare professional, or just someone curious about the world of caregiving, this podcast is for you.
One last thing, a quick disclaimer before we dive in. While we're both registered nurses, nothing we discuss here should be taken as medical advice. Always consult with your doctor or a qualified healthcare provider for any medical concerns you may have. The views expressed here are our own and don't necessarily reflect those of our employers or licensing bodies.
So let's get started on this journey together. Welcome to Nursing You, where every conversation leads to a healthier world.
Madison, you'll like this idea. I've shared it before. That I think, firefighters historically have had dogs. Cops have dogs. Military has dogs. I think that we need to have dogs that are service dogs in the hospital that can smell troponins, that can smell, BUN and creatinine, and have a bark that's specific to each one of the lab components that would be critical to us. They come in the ER. Like, what a cool idea. Isn't that just
wow?
Isn't that the coolest idea?
That is so cool. I honestly, though, I could see it evolving as like the dog becomes my service dog within that setting.
It's 100%.
Yeah,
it's for
you
us.
bring him to work.
Yes.
Yeah,
Bring him to work.
it's for us.
Yeah.
Yeah, our companion. Yeah.
What gosh, like
Like,
this.
it would know when the Foley bag was full, and so it would have a bark for the Foley bag. It would have,
or when your drips are about ready to run out.
Yeah.
Or when shit river's about to overflow.
Yeah. Oh God. Oh my God. Do they use dogs with hospice ever, or do they have like pet therapy within those services?
So a lot of our patients are residents at facilities. And so there's been a lot of times where that facility has, pet therapy dogs that come in on a monthly basis.
Okay.
The hospice I work for, I don't think, at least I've worked there since 2021. I haven't seen us use pet therapy for hospice. But the main reason why is because so many of our patients are within those facilities. They're already having pet therapy volunteers come. But just seeing the eyes light up on these residents when the dogs come and they get to interact and pet them. Oh my gosh, pet therapy is just, it's crucial. Pets are just, they're divine. They're I don't know. I feel like the pet that you have in your life is definitely who your pet is supposed to be, because they are truly walk us through life. Pets are magical.
I want a dog. I want a dog. I've wanted a service dog for a long time. Just, they take some of the weight off of you.
And they can hold a lot too, with intention, they'll hold it for you. It should be more used. Yeah.
You mentioned you want to do that. Is what's stopping you, or what's that hindrance right now?
I tried to have a dog a couple of years ago. Had a beautiful standard poodle. She was white and her name was Blanche, and it just didn't go well. I was at the hospital too much, and I recognized, thank God, early enough that it wasn't a good situation for her, and I rehomed her, and I was just so upset that I'm going to ruin this dog because I'm just at this hospital all day long, and she needs better than that.
Mhm.
And so that was a little bit, that was just upsetting for me, and I've never tried again.
Yeah.
And that's like, if I went full-time hospice and they were able to, um, you know, accommodate me having a dog, that would be a significant motivator for me.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That just shows how just caring and, no, I mean, that's such a noble thing to do, is to like, hey, I actually can't take care of this pet.
Mhm.
I mean, how awesome is it that you were able to recognize that?
Mhm.
I mean, that's
Well,
just,
I still get picture updates.
oh,
Yeah. I know the family that the dog went to, so um, it ended up good. It ended up really good.
good.
She's had a couple litters of puppies. She's on a farm, and she's just so happy. So I was so terrified that it was going to be that we were. It was I was just going to ruin this dog,
Hmm. Oh,
and I
man.
just couldn't live with it. So
Yeah, that's
yeah,
interesting. That's some dive work there in there somewhere.
yeah,
But
she was
very
great.
neat. I just got pictures of like if you had a service dog, was your
Hmm.
dog, could you, would you, is it possible, maybe be allowed to? It was like Caleb and the dog. So
Yeah,
whatever home I could imagine would have to be like, okay. And if not, she just stay in the car, jump around while you
stay
did
in
your
the car,
business.
hang
Yeah.
out. Yeah.
Yeah. But also might be welcomed by, and I'm sure there's policies and procedures about that too, but you know, wait, now has anybody heard? I just saw this probably because we've been talking about hospice and my phone listens to everything we say. Um, well, I don't even have to type
It's
it into the search
true.
bar anymore, which is neat. It just listens. Um, it's called a death doula.
Mm,
Hmm.
yeah.
What
Yeah.
do you know about that, and what is that?
Literally, the only thing that I know about it is just what I've seen from it on social media. There is, I don't know if you've seen her on Instagram or whatever, but her name is Hospice Nurse Julie. Um,
Okay.
she is a hospice nurse, and I mean, she has a lot of followers, and her goal is to educate on death and dying and to make it less scary, I guess. But I've heard her briefly talk about death doulas, and how, I mean, just like a birth doula,
Yeah.
coaching you through the birthing process. A death doula, I feel like, is just a just amazing idea, like
Yeah.
coaching you through that death. And it's
I mean, it's amazing because there's birth doulas, and I've heard of those.
Mhm.
And it's like an experience that you can't know unless you've birthed someone. And I feel like, men don't actually give birth, but if you're there with the woman who is giving birth to your child, you're still wrapped up in all that energy.
Mhm.
So it's
Mhm.
still an
Mm,
experience. And I feel like death is the same way and should be viewed as the same. Like, you're not like just leaving here. You're being birthed into infinity
Mhm.
to do whatever you want, to either come back or stay there, take care of other people who have died. It's like a birthing experience. You're leaving the womb, you're leaving the earth. Like it feels the same. We
Mhm.
can just only see the earth, the now. We just can't see where they go. So it feels like it's the end. But sometimes it's just the beginning for
Oh.
them.
from the very beginning of this conversation, there, like, we've hit. I don't remember. I didn't write down all of the different paradoxes that we've touched on, but we keep touching on the idea of paradox.
Yeah.
That it's a paradox that we come into the earth naked and
Yeah.
vulnerable and weak, and we leave in just the same way.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's a
Mhm.
paradox, and everything in between is filled with paradoxes as well.
Yeah. I mean, just think about it. Like they have like gender reveals and a baby shower, and everyone is so excited for that baby to come into the earth. Like, Why don't they do that for dying? It's just because we're programmed to feel about it like we're programmed to feel about it. I can
Yeah.
remember being at my great-grandmother's funeral. I was 5. I barely remember it, but, you get those little weird bloops
Mhm.
of, like, memories or picture, or was I there? I don't remember. Um, but, it's dark, it's black, everyone's crying, it's terrible. Don't talk about it. Don't talk about how she died.
Mhm.
Don't say. And it's like, why? You should be
Why?
rejoicing
Mhm.
because look at how much the life and now their body is just done. What'd you say? You say the DNA has expired. That's what
Yeah.
Kayla always says. The
Or the
DNA has
expiration date has
yeah, you have
come.
expired. Yeah.
I think it's the majority of it is fear. I think
Yeah.
death equals fear to so many people. And I don't know which religion it is, but I want to say Buddhism. I don't know, but there's one religion where they treat death as such that they
Yeah.
rejoice in it.
Mm.
They celebrate it because this person has been through the life and they're about to go on a different journey like that, depending on what you believe in, they're about to go be a whole new person and live a whole
Right.
new life or a whole new spirit. Or it's, I wish that that was the
Yeah.
case. I think it would also make people's experience with death be so much more rewarding, even though that sounds so, it doesn't sound right to say, but I mean, in the end, like, I feel like I've heard so many people say, like, our experience with hospice was so great.
Yeah.
It was everything. The hospice nurse was just so many compliments, whatever. But like, they had that experience of pure, like, at the end of the day, after everything happened, was just beautiful. The
Yeah.
whole death experience was beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, it's again, it's a paradox that like even just this conversation that we're having, that it's all around death, but in so many ways, it's given us life.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That it brings so much life. It's just a beautiful paradox.
Yeah.
I agree.
It's a really crazy idea.
I love crazy ideas.
I do too.
It's like, I have to preface it, like it's a lot. It'll take me a little bit to get through it, I think. I don't know. And it's purely Caleb's mental workshop. I have no books that have informed this thought experiment. It actually was the result of a caring conversation that I had with a young person that was going through gender reassignment surgery. Actually,
Mm.
they weren't there for gender reassignment surgery. They were there for a different surgery, but they had been receiving the hormone replacement therapy, and they were there for an emergent surgery. And when this person woke up, I was sincerely interested in the experience that this person was having. So that's the basis for the thought experiment.
Mhm.
And the conversation that I had with this person, because when they woke up, we connected, and I felt I had enough rapport with them to ask questions. And I asked, how like how do you know that this is your path? How do you know this is the journey that you are supposed to go on? And this person said, I've never felt like I belonged in this body. Now, a lot of people just poo-poo all of it and just say, and just disregard it. It's mental illness. It's they're sick or something like that. And I'm that's kind of the response to that often. And to me, I was trying to connect with that person and that person only. I'm not trying to connect. I'm not trying to just trying to not put my biases on this person and try to understand what the human experience that they are having is. And so that's the basis for the thought experiment. Um, it's I hope I don't catch a lot of hell for this.
I am there is no judgment. This is the kind of conversations that I love having. Like, be vulnerable, be
Yeah.
real. So
Yeah.
anyways, carry on.
It's okay. It's vulnerable. So as I processed this conversation over, I don't know, days, weeks, it kind of, and having the unique experience that I've had in the hospital, where it was a humid summer. I've told this story before. We had a bunch of lungers in the ICU that were fluid overloaded. The humidity in the air was just oppressing their lungs, and they weren't able to exchange gases. So everybody was in there, intubated, getting Lasix every, Q whatever. And I pulled the last bottle of Lasix out of the Pyxis. There was a supply shortage, and I'm standing there at 3 a.m. In the morning and going, holy shit, this is the last bottle, and Kansas City's out. Like, every hospital in this town is out of Lasix right now, and I think what happened is we have logistics store supply houses that had reserve, and I think that's how we got it supplied before the shipment could get in. But I'm standing there, and it gave me an existential crisis because I realized how propped up we are societally. So we have all these people that would otherwise be dead if we didn't have the pharmacological means to keep them alive. And the weight of that, being able to see society from that lens, was just like spun my world around. It was like, I see dead people everywhere now.
Yeah. Everyone's dead.
Everyone's dead. Like, supply chain goes out, they're all dead. Like, it was an overwhelming thought for me. And so this is where, like, now tied into furniture design, which you've only listened to one podcast, so I talk a little bit about my furniture design process. We haven't done any like in-depth dive into what that means or what that is, but I reduce my design process to waveforms. That my job as an ICU nurse is to monitor biological waveforms. And then in the wood shop, I figured out how to design furniture, and all of the designs that I'm working with, I use irrational vortex-based mathematics, which is the golden ratio and Fibonacci sequence and all of this. And ultimately, my observation of that mathematic stuff is that it's waveforms. So I'm designing waveforms and analyzing the designs as a flow, as energetic. Like, how does this piece of wood flow with its grain pattern? How does it flow with this part of the design and that part? So it's all about flow. So when you take that idea, you marry all of these ideas to get to the idea of death as we have blocked the flow. We've blocked the flow. And I'm not saying that we're wrong. Like, I think that every life should be preserved. I want to be very clear that every life should be preserved, and we should fight for life. Absolutely, 100%. But that also hasn't been fully addressed, which is what we're doing here. Like, we're, trying to figure out, we've created all these tools and systems that are efficient and effective at keeping people alive for a very long time. So the idea that we've kind of blocked the energetic flow, and because our population is so huge, right? So this is where it gets funny. That and I when I have these ideas, when I think about these types of things, I'm genuinely entertained myself. So the idea is that we've blocked the flow, and the way that I conceptualize it is in terms of, so this, take it back to the transgender person that never felt like this. I never felt like I belonged in this body, is what this person said. There's the blockage. Then, do you guys remember the TV show I Love Lucy?
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember the episode where Lucy and the neighbor lady are working in the chocolate factory?
Is it when they're like running around and
the conveyor belt is just pulling chocolates down, and they're supposed to wrap them and put them back on the conveyor belt to go forward and be packaged. They're keeping up initially, and then it's going a little bit faster, and they miss one, and they reach out and grab it, and they bring it back, and then there's just this pile of chocolates, and they're stuffing them in their pockets, they're stuffing them in their mouth, they're like, panicking and freaking out, and so that's kind of the picture, the idea that this person inspired in me, that they said I never belonged in this body. So is that is the reincarnation process, is that happening in this process? Like, we're bringing so many people in, because the more people that are on the planet, the more we're procreating. And so is it this conveyor belt that's getting backed up, and these souls are coming in and not supposed to be, it's getting stuffed in everything,
the souls are just finding a place because there's so many. I'm such a visual person that I'm literally visualizing people flying out of the sky and just ending up random places
wherever.
So one of the so depending on what your theological beliefs are, so that kind of, I think as I've processed this idea, I think that it conflicts with my idea that God is intimately involved in every aspect of life. Mm-hmm. So I just want to be very clear that this is just a thought experiment that I think is interesting, and this is the truth of everything that we're talking about. None of us, no matter what answer you think that you have about the afterlife, none of us knows.
Yeah.
I don't, this idea that I had, it's a novelty. It's just a novelty of my.
And I think one thing I ask a lot now that I've kind of awakened, or am observing myself differently, is that I always ask, is it possible? Yeah. I mean, I guess it is possible. It could. Yeah, it is. It could be. That could be. It is possible.
Mm-hmm.
It's possible.
And maybe to fit it in with my theological concept would be that that is part of the process, that it was intended to be that way, to help us recognize that. I don't want to say that. I don't want to say that, because then it diminishes the human experience that person is having.
Well, I think we have free will. So there's free will. And, despite even God being a part of everything and a piece of everything and guiding, we still have our own free will to choose. And so even as a spirit, or in the spiritual realm, to choosing coming in, or to be of surrender wherever, whatever, maybe that was the soul contract with that one, whatever, wherever I land, I'm good. I'm good. It's similar. Just like, why does a child land in a home of addicted parents? And why does that child have to be neglected and abused? They didn't particularly choose that, but it was prior to them coming, were they I surrender, I let God place me where I may, so that I can have these experiences, so that then I can learn love or compassion, or be shown that I am love. And so then I can turn around and show other people that through my experience. I mean, that's what we're all doing. We're talking through our experience. And so that is just another experience, that they're, especially the transgender, are having to learn from that not fitting in. It's just a piece of one thing that is, I don't fit in. I don't
Mm.
I don't fit in. And I think a
Mhm.
lot of people have felt, you may have even felt that at the hospital. I don't fit in here.
Oh,
I don't
100%.
fit in. And
Mhm.
finding where you do fit is an individual journey.
Mhm. I almost look at as that feeling of not fitting in. I feel like that honestly is what makes us more unique
Yeah.
because we're not like everybody else.
Yeah.
And I mean, this is not anywhere near the same situation as the transgender, but I have always felt that I don't fit in.
Uh-huh.
And
Mm.
whether it be in school, in social settings as an adult, and I've always felt that but it's also because I'm just so I have such a curious mind. I'm wondering about everything. I'm asking all these questions that I've never asked before, like that not everybody asks. It's just like I think that's what makes us so unique, I think. And also, Caleb, I don't has anybody ever told I feel like you've lived 1,000 lives. Like I feel like you're such an old soul. I don't
I,
know if
I,
anybody has ever
I,
said
kinda, I hate that because I haven't learned how to get out.
that.
Yeah. But yet,
Maybe this is the one.
yeah. But
But
yet
you
you
are so
probably have.
beyond your years.
Yeah.
Like, just
Maybe,
the
Yeah.
way that
maybe.
you speak.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
man,
he's a
it's
very deep thinker, and he does have a workshop up there in that brain that is on, constantly on. The light is always on. Yeah.
mhm.
He has a hard time shutting it down. Yeah. Yeah.
That's the truth. I
Yeah.
mean, what you were just saying about being unique, I absolutely agree, and I will like if you haven't listened to the previous episodes, then you don't have a whole lot of context for what I've been talking about for a long time and providing different nuanced perspectives of. But I feel like this is a nuanced perspective, this idea of not feeling like you fit in and how that plays into the Enlightenment. Enlightenment thinking was essentially it is materialism. So I'll give you just a short rundown. I've been kind of analyzing and studying the Enlightenment period for a couple of years now,
Mhm,
um, because it is the basis for everything that we know in healthcare. Meaning all of our processes of all of our evidence-based practice is rooted in reductionist materialism, meaning in the late 1600s we kind of set aside theological answers to existential questions. We picked up through the Enlightenment and the Age of Reason, we picked up the process of taking material problems, material things, and reducing them down to empirical form. And that process, what happens when we start answering the existential questions that humanity faces, like why am I here, what
mhm,
is the purpose of my life, why are people suffering, why do I have to suffer, all of these things, when we started answering those questions, we through material the exploration of materialism, again taking, we'll just say an apple. The one we're looking at today is a red apple. We cut it open, it has a core, it's got seeds, it's got the skin around it, it's got the meat inside, it's got the vascular system that feeds all of the nutrients, um, and that's an apple, right? Well, yes, but we haven't really fully explored, the chemical and molecular makeup of what makes the apple the apple. So we haven't reduced it to its empirical form. And so when we start getting down to those molecular structures, we silo, because this reduces down to this molecular form and this reduces down to this molecular form, so an apple becomes siloed. The what makes an apple it's basically slicing it into partitions of what makes the whole. There are In that process there are efficiencies that have to happen to obtain that knowledge. And over the last, since the late 1600s, we have built our entire Western civilization around this material reductionism. And we don't believe that things are true unless there is evidence to support it.
Mhm.
But that evidence is necessarily siloed. And so we never actually have a comprehensive picture of what the thing truly is. We have silos of information that are true. But I think this is part of why COVID was so polarizing and damaging, is, we were put into camps of, science is true. Science is a method for exploring what is true. It is not true itself. There are so many biases that inform how we come to a conclusion, and those biases can manipulate the data and can manipulate the outcome of the data. So to say science is true is it's just not accurate. So this picture, what I'm painting here, to connect it back to you and what you said, is that all of our systems in society are rooted in this process of reductionism, siloing information. Like, for instance, mathematics. Why couldn't because I'm a spatial reasoning person. I design furniture. The reason I can design furniture is because I can imagine in my mind what the dimensionality of this thing is going. I can see it all. I can move around it. I can pick it up. I can turn it upside down in my mind, and that gives me the ability to measure and understand the mathematics that are required to create the thing. If math would have been taught to me in a practical way where it wasn't siloed into principles of mathematics, I would have been able to understand mathematics. I didn't understand mathematics as a child. It didn't make any sense to me. It's just all these processes and procedures. If it was actually connected to the material world, where I had this dimensionality that was associated with the mathematics, it would have made sense to me. I would have had a different life. But we've siloed information into all these different categories. And what it has produced is people that are siloed. So we don't feel like we fit in because we have no comprehensive experience.
Or even just a humanity experience. We have, siloed, and you're just in your own little family or world, and the connection and the community. And, people used to just meet on the square, and they would like chat, and they used to take walks, and they would be out in the community, and things were community, and the community market, and so, after hearing what Caleb just said, it just brought to why do we feel so like, who am I? Like, what? I don't fit in. I don't fit, because that's kind of what it's been reduced to. But I do feel that now, in this now, there have been a dramatic increase of people wanting to know the same thing. And
Yes.
so it feels less siloed, and more like we can create a community, create an energy within all of us talking about this to make a shift, so that people do feel like they fit in, or they have more options to be like, okay, I'm not like this, but I'm definitely like this, instead of I'm not like that and I have nothing. I'm nothing. So I'm just going to drink,
Well, yeah. Well,
or I'm just going to, yeah.
if you think about it, like the first 18 years of our lives were like essentially institutionalized. I mean, we're put in these buildings, and we're around the same people every day. We have the same schedule. We're taught the same things. And then once those 18 years are done, we go into another institution, and then we're taught these same things. We're around these same school people every day. And then once that's over, depending on how long your entire, obviously the reference here is school, once that is over, you're put out into the world, and you're like, what the hell do I do? Like, who am I? I've been told these things all these years, and I've been told to do these things, and the number one thing here that comes to mind is like, when you're about to graduate high school, everyone's like, all right, you need to pick out what you want to do for your life. You need to know what you want to do in college. Like everyone here, you need to take the ACT, you got to do this. It's like, no, I don't. Like
Right.
and that's a lot of where all this questioning is from. I mean, it's like, what? I mean, if you think about it, it's like, why did you scare me into that so
Yeah.
much? Like, why did you put so much pressure on me to figure out what the hell I wanted to do with my life whenever, in reality, I have all this time
Yeah.
to get out and meet people and have these experiences just like we're having right now. Like, this is what matters. Like,
Yeah.
no wonder people are feeling that,
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think you said it earlier. It's fear. Our
Mhm,
parents were fearful and they
mhm.
couldn't don't question how things work
Right.
because ugh, that's too uncomfortable. So
Mhm,
let's just, I went to college, I have my doctorate, and your mother went to college. She has 2 master's degrees. And so therefore you probably are going to go to college, aren't you? And get your degree because what are you without it really? You know what I
mhm.
mean? Like that's the thought. And our parents or that generation or the generation before us, they didn't know any different. And it was too
Mhm,
scary to think of it any other way. We're the brave ones.
mhm.
We're the ones that are here now with the brave face to say, this doesn't have to be that way,
Right.
actually.
Math
You
ain't
know,
mathin'.
math ain't
Yeah.
math. Yeah.
Well, and
And
the
so
unfortunate
it feels
thing is
good.
as soon as when you deviate away from that, you're looked at as this crazy woo-woo, off the rails person that, what are you doing? You're supposed to be doing
Right.
this and you're not. And so then for a moment, you're thinking even more like, man, I really don't fit in if I've deviated so far away from what is supposed to be the norm that I'm just, yeah,
Yeah.
it creates
Yeah.
trauma, creates a lot of trauma.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's again the paradox.
Yeah.
That's again the paradox because the trauma is what, like, that's what they say. The cracks are where the light gets in.
Yeah.
Something like that. There's this,
Yeah.
the saying. Like that's like there's no way that I become who I am today without just getting to the absolute worst rock bottom of myself.
Yeah.
Mhm.
There's just no way I'm who I am today. And I'm I'm super happy with who I am today.
Oh, I was gonna say it's kind of in the learning of that. Like once you can kind of be like, oh, that's how it works. Okay, so I'm cracking open. So I'm gonna feel that and I'm gonna feel that uncomfortableness, but then I'm just gonna get comfortable with that. That's how the process is.
Mhm.
Like for me, that has been the most recent work that I've done, which is becoming comfortable with being uncomfortable and processing through, not even to get somewhere, just processing, like
Mhm.
Mm. Yeah.
processing it all, you know?
Yeah. It's not about getting anywhere or getting a
Uh-uh.
destination. I mean, it's getting back to who, like, so again, in Hebrew, most of my studies are my biblical studies are in Hebrew and Judaism. And the idea of repentance in Hebrew, it's teshuvah. And the idea of teshuvah, the idea of repentance is to return to who you are.
Remembering who you are. Yeah.
Yeah.
Rediscovering who it is that you are,
Mhm.
Yeah.
reconnecting to the, like, again, the divine that exists within, that is untouchable. There, like the idea that the soul has this pure essence, that no darkness can touch,
Yeah.
Mhm. Mhm.
and returning to and connecting to that light.
I don't know if you've ever heard of the workings and teachings of Dolores Cannon. Are you familiar with her? So
Mm-mm.
she was a very well-known like hypnotherapist. She wrote a lot of books. She's since passed, but one of her things that she talks about is how Earth is no more than a school. And our souls come here, and depending on what you believe, obviously everything's a theory, but you come here to essentially relearn everything that you already know to be true. But like, once they say, like, once you pass away, if you believe in the reincarnation route, you enter a new body. You already know everything that you've been through on Earth as a different being, and then you're coming back to Earth to essentially relearn everything. But yeah, one of her things that she really preaches about how is, Earth is a school, and we come here to learn. And that's kind of, we take what we haven't learned to the next life, and we're relearning these lessons. Whatever we didn't learn in that life, we take to the next life. And her teachings are very interesting.
Yeah, that is, I mean, it's a concept that I really resonate with as well, that I never did, that I never we're not taught to connect with our bodies and with our souls. So, you're born and kids know, babies know, and toddlers know. They're happy with, and they're soulful, and they know, but the programming starts from births of pulling you away from that knowing. And it's not, I don't even think it's purposeful. It just is how things have been. And so I think in the process of learning and reconnecting with who you really are, that is our purpose. And so you find the things that resonate with you, that you feel in your bones are like, this is what it is, and whether whatever spirituality, whatever religion, whatever you feel in your bones is like, this is the truth for me, but it is, I definitely believe it's a learning. And if we look at it like that, it's not a learning how to do, how to become, where to go, I'm going to do this, how to make money, it's more of a learning about who am I and what is my purpose and meaning. We talk about meaning all the time on this podcast. What is the meaning here? What is it? And so however you come to that, and whatever makes sense to you as far as the information that you're using to answer those questions.
We're just
the reductionist materialism diminishes meaning.
Yes.
Right.
It takes away the meaning.
Well, we're so conditioned not to dive deeper into those feelings. Like, I mean, take a look at, these doctors prescribe, but it's like, did you try meditation first? Like, did you try changing your diet? Like, what does your environment look like? It's always which medication is going to help you. I mean, I feel like meditation is not regularly, advised, I guess, by these physicians. I mean,
no, by no one, really.
Unfortunately,
Yeah.
So that's kind of the that touches on one of the solutions, like the time that we're in, where we set down spiritual answers to the existential questions, picked up materialism, and now we're at the end of materialism, where we have both of these means for answering. Neither one of them has sufficiently answered the existential question. Like we're still looking for it through materialism, but now we've gotten to such a degree of efficiency in materialism that we're validating the spirituality.
Yeah.
So we've actually gotten to the end of this road where we are circling back to the truth of the thing that we let go of.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
I mean, don't you feel the shift? You can feel the shift.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Meaning that we have like MRI capabilities that can show when you meditate, it does this biochemically in your brain, and that works. So it validates the spiritual practices.
Yeah.
And shows through material understanding that it's true.
Look at all these people healing themselves, from changing their diet, changing their practices, letting go of. Yeah. I mean, it's, I wish it was more regularly.
I look at patients now, and like I had this lady yesterday, she was young, like in her 50s, but because of her lifestyle and maybe some untreated diabetes and bad hereditary genetics, she had like an open heart in her early 50s, and is on 20 different medications. I mean, she's got oxygen, heart failure. I mean, bad, like end stage renal disease. I mean, and I just have a whole different outlook on them. And my first thing is always when I look and I'm just like, you must have had the hardest life. Like you are so much in your body with so much trauma.
Mm.
And, it's like my compassion. I've always been compassionate for people. I mean, we're nurses. That's what we do.
Mhm.
Maybe I'm recognizing it more that like it's a deep connection knowing that like it's not just because you did some meth in your 20s and you
Mhm.
fucked up your arteries, It's like, God, like you have been through so much and literally are still dealing with it. I can see it in your
Mhm.
face, your weight,
Mhm.
in your body. Like,
Mhm.
you can look at people now and just know, like, people think they're choosing this, but it's like what they're not choosing freedom
Mhm.
because they don't know. They don't know.
I feel like that's what I was trying to you said it better than I was trying to explain it, is like, since working in hospice around all this death and dying, my compassion is just rewired. Like
It
I am
is, yeah.
looking at these people and I'm almost like getting little mental images of how their life was. I honestly feel like we are so intuitive. Like we
Yeah.
like us as humans, like we are literally spiritual beings in a human form. Like, we these mental images that, or whatever that happens, like these little thoughts that come to mind, you're like, why am I thinking this? A lot of the times it's like it tracks with whatever's going on or whoever you're interacting with. But
Yeah.
yeah, I find myself like looking at these people's lives and being like, and hearing their stories is just
Mhm.
so, oh,
Oh,
it is one of the best things. And it's like
yeah.
you get to almost relive this person's life, but in an entirely different form, entirely different mindset. But it's, yeah.
Yeah.
I like
Yeah.
that about hospice too. Yeah.
But we did wanna mention, Madison, I want you to mention your podcast and tell us a little bit about it.
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
yes. So, Spiritually Human is the podcast that I released in October of 2024. It basically is surrounded upon the human experience. So it's inspired by the human experience. The episodes are kind of centered around, so each episode has a guest, and that guest talks about a human experience or, something involved within their human experience that is kind of has affected them in some way. And it really gives the guests a chance to tell their story, but also listeners, I want them to be able to have a place to come and, feel connected and feel relatable, have that resonate, because there are so many things that we experience in life where how I can't be the only one dealing with this. Like this is insane. I wish I had an outlet to go to resonate with someone. Like hopefully someone is experiencing the same thing,
Yeah.
or similar. And so I really I wanted that to be the kind of the backbone of it. I really want to give people that opportunity to be able to be vulnerable, tell their stories, and yeah,
Yeah.
I'm having the time of my life with it. It's more of a hobby.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see where it's going to go, but I'm still a baby, if you will, in the podcast world. So,
As are we.
As are we. Yeah. Yeah. Well, so where's the main play? Do you do YouTube or is it just audio? No, I've
just
watched it.
audio,
Wait, I've
just
watched it, I
audio.
thought. Oh, no, I
No.
have listened to it. Oh, I've seen your little clips. I've seen your
Yes.
clips. That's what I've
Yes,
seen.
I
Okay.
post on Instagram to kind of help promote the episodes
Yeah.
or whatnot. But yeah, it's all audio. I've had to teach myself how to use this software,
Yeah.
which has been such a such an
Yeah.
experience in itself.
Yeah.
So I record it within my home, my upstairs
Yeah.
bedroom,
Yeah.
so my
Yeah.
studio.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I have a studio too. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Well, good. Well, we will link that in our show notes so that people can
Thank
find you
you.
because your soul is so beautiful and just your energy around you and you're meant. I've always known that even when you were baby scared And I was like, you should go work in the ICU. You're so smart. And you were like, no, Julie, please don't make me go.
Please, God, no.
No, I know. And we're so blessed to have you on and to talk about hospice, which then led us into a whole nother beautiful conversation, which it always does.
Yeah.
And we just thank you from the bottom of our hearts.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for doing this podcast. I think this is so necessary. If it has ever crossed your mind, like, is this worth it? Am I supposed to be doing this? Absolutely. Yes. 100%. This podcast is really, I really feel like it's going to change the world of nursing. And possibly healthcare. And this in itself, working in healthcare is its own human experience. So you are doing huge things for people. So
yeah,
thank you.
I appreciate that. Yeah.
I knew within 5 minutes you were awesome. Like when we were doing the test, like what she just said about you, like immediately I saw it. You're awesome.
Yeah.
I would love to come on your podcast.
Oh my gosh, I would love to have you. And to be honest, I would love to talk for a whole nother hour and 50 minutes.
I know.
This whole experience, this conversation this morning has really, I just feel like it's filled my cup. Once again, it's one of those things that has made me feel fuller. So thank you.
It's amazing.
It has been amazing. All right, Madison, we're gonna let you go.
All righty. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
We hope you've enjoyed this week's episode.
Remember, the conversation doesn't end here.
Keep the dialogue going by connecting with us on social media posted in the links below or by visiting our website.
Together, let's continue to redefine nursing and shape a brighter future for those we care for. Until next time, take care, stay curious, and keep nurturing those connections.
And don't forget to be kind to yourself.